Welcome back to the Body Wisdom series. I'm Cherie, your somatic coach, and I'm delighted to be here with you again. In this video, we are going to dive into polyvagal theory as a framework to understanding how our nervous system responds to both safety and stress. This has been really key in my own understanding and learning to better emotionally regulate. Polyvagal theory was developed by Dr. Stephen Porges, and it gives us insight into how our nervous system works. It explains the different states that our nervous system can be in and how these affect our behavior and emotion. Now, before we dive in, a little disclaimer. This is only a theory. And despite the fact that it's been kind of widely accepted and used, and it's found to be helpful to a lot of people, including myself, which is why I'm sharing it here, still only a theory, and a theory about a very complex system. So as always, just keep that in mind, take what feels relevant and helpful to you, and if something doesn't feel true based on your lived experience, well, I encourage you to trust that. Okay, with that said, let's dive in. So there are three main states that our nervous system can be in according to polyvagal theory, and they are: first, our social engagement state, or ventral vagal; two, our fight or flight or sympathetic state; and three is our shutdown state, or dorsal vagal state. And these different states form a hierarchy of response to both stress and safety. Before we get into what each of these states are, it's important to remember that we all experience each of these states at different times and also cyclically, meaning we always will. It is part of being a human being and having a body and a nervous system, and it is completely normal, natural, and even intelligent. So, let's start with the social engagement state, or the ventral vagal state. This is where we feel safe, connected, and engaged with the world around us. When we're in this state, our nervous system feels calm, allowing us to communicate effectively, build relationships, stay open, and handle stress with more resilience and flexibility and grace. Think of a moment when you felt truly at ease, maybe in a conversation with a dear one. And in moments like these, our ventral vagal state is active, allowing us to relax, to connect, and to be fully engaged. In other words, we feel safe. Next, we have the fight or flight state, or the sympathetic state. When we perceive a threat, our nervous system automatically activates to prepare us to either respond to the danger or to escape from it. This response is crucial for our survival, and it has served our species well. It's intelligent. However, in modern day life, where our actual life is often not at stake, it can be triggered by many everyday stressors, such as work pressure, relationship conflicts, financial worries, as well as imprints from past trauma. It can also be activated by systemic forces such as racism, misogyny, homophobia, ableism, just to name a few. Imagine feeling your heart begin to race, your muscles tense up. Maybe it's from receiving a critical email at work, or hearing unsettling news, or maybe it's that heated argument that we talked about in the last video. This is your sympathetic nervous system kicking in, readying your body to respond to the perceived danger. Finally, we have the shutdown state, or the dorsal vagal state. When a perceived threat feels overwhelming and we believe we can neither fight nor flee, our nervous system may resort to shutting down. This is often characterized by feelings of numbness, disconnection, and lethargy. Consider moments when you have felt completely overwhelmed, and perhaps you wanted to withdraw and escape from the world. This is your dorsal vagal state taking over to try to protect you by shutting down both emotional and physiological responses. Now, It's important to remember that all of these responses are intelligent. They are our body's way to protect us and keep us from harm. So please don't think of them as bad or wrong, because they're not. Secondly, it's important to remember that these threats don't need to be real or rational to activate us into one of these states. They could be, but they don't have to be. And lastly, is that this may not even happen consciously. Something may happen, we may encounter some stimuli, and we might be thrust into fight or flight or dorsal shutdown before we can even consciously register what's happened. This is particularly true when there's any kind of trauma history. In the next video, we are going to dive deeper into the hierarchy of these states and how understanding them can help us to meet and regulate our emotions more effectively. In the meantime, I invite you to reflect on how and when these states show up in your life and how they influence your relationships and your overall well-being. Thank you again for joining me. If you found this insightful, please follow me at Your Somatic Coach on Instagram, and I look forward to seeing you real soon in the very next video.